First off, thanks a lot, Markin, for following. Hopefully you have a good time. We are drinking. Oh, my camera's not on yet, but I'll get it ready for when we are. We are drinking. Oh, he's not very visual. We're drinking Calgary Welsh Breakfast. So it's a local one from a really good loose tea store here in town. So yeah, thanks for everyone who's tuning in. We are doing a VOD review of Chanigan's Duckling Weekly. Chanigan, or I apologize if I'm saying it incorrectly, but he's a quickly up and coming Duckling. He's got some very good times, and he's been improving rapidly. I think his restreamed race on Monday was like his third or fourth seed, he said, and if he hadn't forgotten the bottom of Earth 2, he would have been quite competitive, and then he came sixth on Thursday. So definitely someone who's improving rapidly. But, still, this Duckling Weekly was about 20 minutes or so behind the top runners. So lots of, we'll definitely have to take a look and see what those time saves are. So what I'm expecting here is to be going through a little bit more of the, maybe, more marginal time improvements, as well as perhaps some big ones, depending on what he does. So I'm excited to take a look at this VOD. So as I said, this is the Duckling Weekly, so if you haven't done it yet, turn away, as there will be spoilers in these waters. But we're gonna quickly do just a very brief flag review and like anything that stands out, and then we're gonna get right to the VOD. So of course, with this Duckling Weekly, the biggest thing by far is that we have elite and caster gear in the shops, and that makes a huge difference. It means you're going to be able to buy your Masas, buy your ribbons potentially, but there's also a lot of variability in terms of what's going to be available. So you can't rely on getting a Masa exactly, but you can rely on getting some type of good sword, especially with -3 to +7 blursing available down here. So these are going to make a big difference. Um, Nothing else really of note here. A side trap tiles. And then the other big one is no loose items here, and no gear in the incentive pool. So you will have to either open boxes randomly or shop for your gear. And in this case, shopping for your gear is definitely the way to go. No northern docks, which Lord Fizzlebeef was talking about in his last stream, saying like, why is there no northern docks? So there will be some northern docks coming up soon, don't worry. But the reason we've been keeping this off is so that we don't encourage or force early dives into sky or sea. But that's something that we actually want in the future. But for these earlier seeds, we wanted to prevent that, so that's why northern docks is off. Um, Boss scaling, pretty standard stuff here. It is a little bit on the higher side with 80% instead of 50% base, but HP only goes up to 150, and with these elite gear, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. EXP is really high, and so is gold. So 300 plus 300 is huge. 2.8 is pretty big. So in all cases, we're going to be getting lots of money, and in many cases, you're taking grinds here, not for experience, but instead you're taking grinds for gold, which is really interesting and something I kind of became apparent as I was practicing this flag set, so I thought that was interesting. Black belts are banned, but this is not really because you shouldn't be taking black belts anyways. This is more to like make sure people are using the blur skier rather than using this huge exp to like grind up a black belt. And of course, the other major flag change here is that magic is capped, so 4 6 6 2 2. So big, pretty sizable nerfs to the red mage, but the red mage of course can swing the vorpal and things like that, and also relatively large nerfs to the knight and the ninja. I actually, in hindsight, I wish I had kept the ninja at 4, but that's kind of minor. So yeah, nothing else really of note. So yeah, with that, let's get straight over to the VOD review. I have this ready. Transition. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, so let's take a quick look at this party right off the bat. Fighter, red mage, black mage, black mage. So I think this party is strong in general, but I think it has a little bit of a weakness in this flag set, which is that the red mage is limited in charges, so quite a bit weaker, and potentially losing access to white magic is a pretty high price to pay, especially when you already have two black casters. So this is very much a speed and power type party. You're going to be casting lots of spells, generally speaking, but unfortunately, because the red mages are nerfed, it causes a little bit of problems. Now, I don't think this is a bad party. I think this is absolutely winnable, but I wouldn't go for this personally. I think the most optimal parties for this flag set are either fighter, thief, red black, fighter, thief, white black, fighter or fighter Oreo. I think the red mage here is gonna hurt a little bit, and also I know where the magic ends up, so like I know it does end up hurting a little bit. Not the end of the world though. This is good though. You have your running, so I kind of talk about ways to get running, and ways to get running is either thief or two black mages. So here we have two black mages, so we can run okay. We have our melee carry. Red mage is a good secondary melee character, and we have at least two black magic casters. So in all cases, we check most of the boxes. This party should be okay. The one issue is potential lack of access to life, potential lack of access to exit, potential lack of access to cure 4 or heal 3. And those are the big ones. The other really important note here is that if ribbons aren't for sale, you might not have access to wall, and that could slow you down a ton too. So I do want to highlight those different things. But this party comp is fine. Red mages are OP. I don't use them enough. Like I know this is a personal like flaw of mine in many ways. Like I underrepresent red mages, so that's my own bias, and Sir Linkalot gives me a hard time for that a lot of the time. So yeah. Oh wow. Okay, I need to turn the music off for myself. Oh right, and I usually start at 1.1.0 speed just for the beginning of the game, so that way because there's a lot of decisions being made early. So right off the bat, going to check magic. That's okay. Okay, so immediately that wall thing I was talking about happened. So wall is red wizard learnable. That's not the end of the world because really you only need ribbon for the end of the game. But something of note. Oh wait, 1 second. I tried to put my chat here, but for some reason only DVS is showing up. Um, Whatever. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'm not gonna take a bunch of time on it. Maybe it's just too. Okay, no, there's some chat there. Maybe it just disappears after some amount of time. Sorry, I've never used this before, but I realized on the YouTube videos that you couldn't see um, chat, and that caused a little bit of issues. So I wanted to see if I can set it up to use chat. Visual settings, font settings, source. Whatever. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Okay, so wall we can get after promotion, and really that's more of a Topher thing than anything else. So not the end of the world. Okay, Ice 3, Lit 3, this is pretty easy that you buy both. Now, one other thing with bringing 3 black casters is that it's kind of expensive if you're buying, 2 spells for all of them. So that's partially why I like the double melee classes in this flag set, because you want to actually spend more money on weapons. This is like the only time I will ever say that, but we want to spend a little bit more time on weapons, time and money on weapons. So checking the armor shop, Ice plus 3, Aegis plus 3, this is endgame armor for the fighter or the ninja if he promotes, and Bane in defense. So this is where you're taking some notes. I probably wouldn't take note of the Bane sword, but I would take note of the defense sword. And I don't know what you noticed there, Chanigan. We'll have to see what you come back for, but I would say the Bane sword's not that important, but the defense sword is definitely something to consider if we don't get access to, Invis 2 or white shirts. Um, Little optimization here. I've talked about this in my previous videos, but if you go right out of Canaria, you can see my mouse. If you go right out of Canaria, you can walk back up, and it's slightly faster to go right and back into town um, than it was to walk back around. But that's minor. Um, okay, also since this is a little bit more of an advanced tutorial that I'm trying to do today, I will also talk about another thing that I've been skipping in all my previous videos for the sake of ease of understanding, and that is free tiles around the Canaria continent. So let's get to here. Okay, good. I also really like the fact that you reset out of town instead of walking out. That's really good. Okay, so free tiles in Canaria. Basically, around Canaria, they try and get you in this bad habit, which is that there's free tiles on the overworld, which generally speaking isn't true. I've talked about in my previous videos that there's free tiles around the ship docks, so all these ones with the brick pattern are all free. But in Canaria, also all the tiles here and around here are also free. So if you dodge the forest, you can get a bunch of free tiles. Now, the other note of this is that it can screw up your encounter step counting if you're trying to count steps from the moment you leave Canaria. So that's another thing that's really important to notice. So if you watch some of my streams, I'll always walk in a path like this around the forest, and that's just to get a couple extra free steps. But you have to keep in mind that that's like if you're using music cues or anything like that, don't use your walk from Canaria to figure out your encounter manipulation because it's different because there's these free steps. So this is really minor, but as I said, I want to go a little bit more in depth on this video because I know the time on it's like an hour 30 compared to like 2:30. So we're talking 20 minutes from top rather than an hour from top. Also, if you want to grind imps, you have to go into the forest. You can't walk around the entrance of Canaria. You won't get any encounters. So yeah, a couple notes. Um, so we're not gonna. Let's see. We'll have to see if you open boxes in Toph or not. Okay, I'm gonna start speeding things up now. 1.75 should be enough. Okay, so we are opening boxes in Toph, and this is not a bad idea. Um, but it does mean you need to be careful with spell charges. So I will note that if I was going to open in boxes in Toph, I would be running from the single Guremp previously. And that's just because... Ooh. Let's reset that. Did my internet go out, or is the video... Okay, we're good. If you're going to be opening boxes in Toph, I would not have cast that Ice 3 because you want to make sure you have enough spell charges for when you get to Garland and in case there's unrunnables in here. So because of that, like having that slightly one step ahead will help quite a bit because like this is quite dangerous now. You're down to one cast on each of them, and now you're running from a much more dangerous 3 bone fight as opposed to running from the single Guremp. So yeah. Oh, thanks guys. See, bets are on the case. We got links. You can check that out. Okay, so we're taking on Garland. This should be pretty straightforward. Um, yeah. I guess you also have 3 black magic casters, so my point doesn't really apply, but like in general with 2, I'd be more careful. So we have an herb and we have a ship. So we have a couple options right off the bat. Options off the bat are we can go to Provoca or we can go to Elfland. So I'm assuming you're going to go to Provoca, but the reason that you want to go to Provoca here is because the spells are cheaper and that's basically it. You don't want to double dip towns as much as you can, and unless there's really, really good weapons or armor in Provoca, you should be able to double dip or single dip Provoca here, but there's no way you're buying out Elfland. Also, they both have a single incentive item, so no big deal. Um, okay, something I advocate for here. Oh, you're actually doing it. What are you doing? Oh, I see. You didn't buy it Life 3. Okay, so you actually did only have limited casts. So yeah, definitely something that that fighting that Guremp outside was a little bit risky. So here's where that memory is gonna, help. So something I do like to do when and this is personal once again. Yeah, I know Wall wasn't Red Wizard learnable or Red Mage learnable. It was only Red Wizard learnable. So yeah, so one thing I'd like to do here when I have a little bit of money is to go buy my Piers and Softs because you can get completely screwed out of them in Provoca and Elfland, and you don't really want to come back to Canaria. So once again, this is all about like avoiding double dips or avoiding expensive double dips. And doing a double dip right now and doing your kind of last one makes a big difference versus saying, hey, I'm going to check later. Having to come back here later for softs or Piers can be like minutes of time lost because you're sailing all the ways around versus just buying them here. So with $1,000, I have stuff to kill Garland, so I'm going to get another 400 or 500 bucks. I can probably buy like 10 Piers and a couple softs and maybe some save items as well, just a few to get me through the early game. So that's what I would have done there. I do like going back to buy the spells though. AL Marking commenting in that he's not entirely sure that avoiding the first. Yeah, I don't think it's a huge time save. I do it. I don't know if it helps that much. It's just something that I think is interesting, so I figured I'd point it out. Something I've talked about in my earlier videos is if you have a way to kill pirates, kill pirates. The reason for that is because you have more gold then to buy spells. In this case, it's not. Oh, no, it is a big deal. Um, so, yeah, kill pirates first because it's going to prevent you from having to go back and forth, if you have a way to kill pirates. So that's another little time save there. And we have that for sale floater, so always interesting. Also an interesting decision there to shop before pirates. So already in this town, we've walked to the right, we've walked to the left. I think we're going to go save now. Yeah, so this whole Provoca has been a little bit of a all over the place. So the way that you route Provoca in general, it depends on if you have a sweeper or not. If you have a sweeper, you go left, kill Bicky, if safe pirates are on. If safe pirates aren't on, you save, then you kill Bicky. Because pirates have 8 HP, they're going to hit you for like at most 5 to 10 damage. The chances of all 3 of your black magic casters dying is like almost it's immeasurably small. So you just go kill Bicky, and then you get gold. Then usually just because you're on the left side, I check items and armor, and then I go to right side. If yeah, what Jet? Thank you, DVS. I'm glad you agree with me. Yeah, don't skip the item shop. Yeah, yeah. So after this, I always check the item shop, and then I always check armor, and then I walk all the ways around and check magic. Now, the one downside with this is that you can spend too much money at the armor shop, but you should be aware of that. Like, you want at least 1,000. Like, don't spend too much money at the armor shop here because you want money for spells. So, you know, once again, for brand new hour and a half slower than veterans, this doesn't make a big difference. But when you're trying to cut into 10, 20 minutes, it's going to make a huge difference. So, getting better town routing is quite important. Okay, so now we're going to go do magic. Okay, you already know what's there, so checking in either order is fine. Small thing interesting. Okay, that's fair. I don't know if you bought Fire 3 on all your characters. Now, there's a debate over Temper or Fire 3 going in slot 1 because it's whatever you think you're going to cast more frequently, but I would almost certainly put Fire 3 in slot 1 here. And I would buy Fire 3 on all my mages as a top priority. Temper is a late game spell. You're very rarely going to use it in the early game, except for maybe a few bosses. But Fire 3 combined with Ice 3 and Lit 3 give you, like, if you have elemental weaknesses memorized, it's going to give you a huge breadth of things that you can kill. Basically everything in the game for the most part. So I would be leaning towards putting Fire 3 in the first slot. There was also the level 2 White Magic, which you might need to consider. Now, this was particularly hard with a Red Mage because there was 3 good Black Magic spells and Invis 2 on your White Magic. Um, but or sorry, yeah, Invis 2 on the White Magic and 3 good Black Magic spells, Temper, Fire 3, and Brack. So I'm pretty sure you want Invis 2 on your Red Mage for sure, which means they probably forego Brack. Um, I think Fire 3 and Temper are kind of non-negotiable. Oh yeah, and exit as well, right? So I think for your Red Mage, you probably go because you have 2 Black Casters. I would almost certainly go exit Invis 2 on your Red Mage, and then maybe Temper or Fire 3, one of the two. For your Black Mages, it's pretty easy. You want all 3 because Brack, Temper, and Fire 3 all have different utility, but leaning on Ice 3 is a big risk. Lit 3 is actually a lot safer. There are some things that resist Lightning, but Lightning is generally speaking either neutral or good against most enemies in the game. So Lightning 3 is actually pretty solid, but you really need Fire 3 to like flesh out your elemental weaknesses. And Ice 3, yes, it's the highest damage, but it's definitely not a one size fits all like say a nuke is. So I think Fire 3 not getting it here is a little bit of a mistake. Yeah, you can definitely Lit 3 on Deads. Um, like Lightning 3 is honestly the elemental spell I'm happiest to find in the early game. Like you can lit 3 through most of Marsh, for example. Uh, is my discussion is it not advanced enough, Ale Markin? So yeah, so all 3 tier. Good question. So with this particular party, I would definitely be considering a 3 man. So on this run for me, I had a thief, so there was kind of no three. There was like 3 man with the thief dead, but there was not really a big 3 man. But I would definitely be considering a 3 man here, because your second black magic caster is a little bit like extra for the most part, and levels on your primary melee damage leaders are going to be huge. Um, yeah, I don't know. People in chat can point it out. 3 manning is something that I do want to go over, and maybe it's worth a discussion. But unless Chanigan decides to do it here, I don't want to spend too much thought on it. It might be really good to go down to. It might be good to go over someone's video who does 3 man and then kind of go through a couple of like the reasons why. But I think on this video it might be a little bit challenging just because it's not what Chanigan's going to decide to do. Yeah, but we don't need to run for the most part here. I also remember I think there's a pretty long run off the power cycle in this seed, so like running's not that important. I like this decision to go to dwarves. So the reason you go to dwarves here, I wasn't really mentioning, but the reason you go to dwarves here before you hit up Elfland is A, money, but B, if it's the crown, um, you really, or the key, you quite a bit want to go here first. So the only downside is if it's the TNT is the herb, but I think that's an acceptable risk. Actually, no. Now that I think about it again, I think I would rather get the TNT down here than get the crown up there. So actually, I would do else first. I take back everything I said. I like that you checked dwarves in general in the NRC, but I would have done the herb turn in first because of the TNT potential. Okay, you got the crown from here anyways. All is good. Yeah, what DVS is saying is also fair. But here's the thing. there's like no key items that are not that important at this point. I guess if you get um, bottle or slab, you can reset out, but like everything else, you pretty much are keeping. I guess tail as well, you could reset out. Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, no, I take it back. I'm almost certain I went to Elflin first, just in case this was the TNT. Yep, good. And of course, here's our Massa +3. So this is a big winner here. Okay, so we have fast, and this is when you definitely start to consider. So going back to Ale Markin's 3-man discussion, this is when you really start to consider 3-manning. Because one of the big risks I would be worried about in this flag set is not having fast or temper on my red mage. And that's when you kind of want two fast temper casters. But here I have fast and temper on my red mage. 3-manning is definitely becoming a possibility here. Heal 2 is also good. So at this point, in this exact seed, what I did is I skipped the back of Elfland. And the reason is I don't know if you picked up Exit or not. I don't think you did, which is another kind of time loss. But I had Exit. I had all the spells I needed to get through Marsh. I just pieced out. And the reason for this also is because the shop item was in Provoca. If the shop item wasn't in Provoca, I would almost certainly check the shop item here just for information. But I don't really need to know what the black magic is because I have a way out of Marsh. I have no money and I know where the shop item is. So because of all that, I would not be checking the back. If I didn't have warp, or if I didn't have warp or exit, and I didn't have like good sweepers, then I would check the back. But exactly what Bert's saying: have exit, go to Marsh, get money, and then come back and buy level 4 spells. Yeah. If you don't have a shop item though, I would 100% check the shop because like knowing what's there is really important. Um, buy some tents. Yeah. So money management's definitely being an issue here, and that's because you have three mages. Not the end of the world, but just a note. Okay, so warp is definitely still worth a pickup here, but unfortunately for you, you're gonna have to come all the ways back to this back of Elfland at some point. Yeah, also a 2,000 gold key. Yeah, exactly. Like the only thing that changes your routing decision is not what magic is at the back of Elfland, but what key item is in the shop. Uh, Okay, so something else that I'm like a big has it gives me big pet peeves is when you finish shopping and you don't save. Shopping is very time consuming. Like it's incredibly time consuming. You don't really realize it when you're playing, but like efficient shopping is huge. And this is something I learned watching Spells app, even like Aelbert, but like watching Spells app and CC's final, I realized just how efficient they were getting through towns and like how much they prioritize not double dipping them. So getting good into good shopping habits is really important, and not saving after shopping is like huge time loss. It's not quite like dying out of a dungeon, but I would always get in the habit of saving in some regards. I'm okay if you save with the tent, but I'm not okay with like leaving the town and not saving at all because with shuffled spells and you don't know what all these enemies have, anything could kill you. Anything could kill you, and if you wipe, that's really costly compared to taking 2 seconds to save. Um, so yeah, crown first is a good decision. If it's actually it doesn't really matter, but I would have gone crown first just for the levels because Astos is way cheaper than or way safer than Marsh. Cool. Once again, just saving as soon as you finish an incentive always is a really good idea. And getting into positive saving habits is really helpful. I've talked about this in previous videos, but like saving right away gets you into good shape to encounter manipulate in the future. So even if you're not saving for safety, which you should be, it's also good practice for encounter manipulation. So in all cases, you should be saving. And this is also a sign of just like not having enough saving items. Those were like 30 gold tents. I know you were broke, but like saving items are a priority. Yeah. Excellent march routing. Okay, small improvement here is oops. Okay, well you missed it, but you can walk along the bottom of the walls and also the bottom of the walls there. So oops, let's go back just a touch. Okay, and slow things down here. Okay, so we talked about walking on the bottom of walls, but this is a perfect example here. You can walk along the bottom of the wall here and actually get 0 steps in this whole area. So all of these steps can be saved as opposed to taking 3 steps along the top. I like the decision to run here. And same thing here. You can actually no, there's no steps to be saved there, but there is a step to be saved if you go left. Left is slightly faster than going right because of the free step in front of the door. Oh no, Bert. Yeah, yeah, but Bert, if I had to do clamp bosses, I died. How many times in our co-op league was I the one who wiped in frickin' Topher while you were like crushing it? I felt so bad for you. You were waiting for me to finish every single time. Okay, so we're going straight to the incentive. That's totally fine. I personally check chests here because I need money. And remember, this is a weird seed. We need money, and that's why we're checking chests. That's why we're killing some enemies. So I would have checked the first three, but I skipped the rest of Marsh because these three are really fast, especially these two right above. That was two chests for basically free. So I would definitely have checked those two chests, but that's just me. You're not killing this. Maybe you are. Probably not though. Blue dragons resist. Um, they're not weak to anything, and they're like okay to fire and lightning. No, lightning they resist. They're okay to ice and fire. So ice is the right play here. Um, but you can try and kill it, but lightning is the wrong play. So this is knowing your resistances. Dragons are not the easiest to know what they're weak to, but they're easy to know what they're strong to. So if you played vanilla, they all have a breath weapon. Whatever their breath weapon is, that element is what they resist. So blue dragons cast thunder in the vanilla game, so they resist lightning. Now, maybe that's not intuitive. Oh god, that's really bad. There goes your exit caster. Okay, we get the canal. So with the canal here, this is a pretty easy Ruby turn in next, but this is really bad. Um, in terms of just danger and time loss, once again, you had exit, you made all the plans, your levels were okay, but then you took that one fight for like a level worth of EXP, and now you're gonna get punished for it. Even just whether it's in a death or time loss, it doesn't matter. But you lost your exit caster because of that. You could have gotten unlucky and not been able to run, but I think running's definitely the play there. Ice 3, not a good decision here. These are undead. We were talking about Lightning 3 being good against, like, okay against undead. Yeah, Lightning 3 is fine. Fire 3, of course, is strong against these. Um, but yeah. Yeah, DVS saying in chat that, he beat the blue dragon and then made the foolish decision to go back. So, yeah. Oh, there's Fire 3. Okay, we are. Are we going to wipe in Marsh? Yeah. Yep, we are. Oh, wow. How did you survive that? You don't have a pro rig, do you? No, this is a reset, though. Yeah, okay. So, what did we learn? Um, what I'm seeing so far, in general, is that your play is quite good, but you're making decisions that are riskier. Like your surface level play is good, but your small lack of memorization of like enemy weaknesses as well as just like split second decision making where you're taking a slightly riskier play when you don't need to has kind of punished you a little bit here. And also things like saving also could punish you in the future. So just improving the consistency is what's required here more than increasing the speed. And of course, consistency ends up equaling speed because this wipe costs you way more than anything else. There's a free step there if you follow the door, but that's pretty minor. Yeah, keep on running. I'm not gonna lie, I never remember what Mux versus Slime or all those different enemies that are shaped like that. I can never remember what their weaknesses are, but I usually just run from them. Interesting decision to go temper fast. So what I'd be concerned about with going temper fast here is that I think your knight can get one punched by this dragon. So it's probably good because your weapon's really strong, but I'd be a little worried about going all in there. I would still just be running, but if you don't think it's runnable, all the power to you. Actually, correction. If you're going to do this, you should make this decision before you start the fight and move your fighter to the back row. If you lose a black mage here, it's not a big deal, but like your red mage is your most important character here. They should be in the back row. Fighter, if you're going to do this, also should be in the back row. But right now, if your red mage gets punched, you're losing your exit caster again. Okay, good stuff. Fast temper strategy is paying off. Something that I do for this to make sure I don't die is I always make my party with my red mage slash white mage in the back row. Because to be honest, yes, your red mage is better equipped, but if they're your life caster, if they're your exit caster, they're way more important than losing a black mage, especially if they're your life caster. So I would suggest putting your white magic caster in slot 3 or 4. And I usually use slot 4. The reason I use slot 4 is because if I have two black magic casters in a row, I'm going to be menuing the exact same as them every single time. Versus the red mage sometimes going to be menuing something different. So don't go actual Oreo like black, red, black, because then you might be menuing menu different, menu the same. If you can always menu the same, it's just going to make your muscle memory faster. So that's why I keep them grouped like that. Okay, so no steps, cast exit. Okay, awesome. Ah! we just almost wiped, and we know that damage poison wolves exist in this flag set. You don't know that, but as Bert does, we know that damage poison wolves are here. But you have not seen all the enemies here. Not saving here is crazy. I know you have no save item, so I know that's why you did it. But this is like incredibly risky. If you died here, yeah, I know you have no save items, but that's more to like prep for this. But like this is super dangerous. So this just goes back to that kind of you know pre prepping for these types of dives, and that's usually regarding getting armor, getting heal pots, pures, and a couple save items. So this goes way back to my Canaria discussion, which is when you left, you could have gone back in and bought 10 pures, a couple softs, and like 5 cabins or 5 tents. But the lack of that made that run potentially like hugely risky, where you lose to other ducklings by 5 minutes. Yeah. I mean, luck's gonna happen. Like, you're not always gonna get punished for bad decisions, and to be honest, you rarely will get punished for bad decisions. But you will sometimes do it, and when that happens, it's a big loss. Sorry, I just realized my full screen doesn't look right, so there you go. Yeah, Reese, but you run slightly differently than people. Pures and softs are important. Okay, and I like the saving here. So for low money seeds, I like Canaria to Provoca to Matoya, back to Canaria for Tents, and then to Dwarves. Yeah, in this particular flag set, because money's so good, to be honest, I would rather kill a couple enemies to get some money for Tents than I would go to Matoya, but I agree in general. Yeah. Okay, so leaving the inner sea, where are we going? Oh, did you realize you need save items? Okay, so I like this decision to go get. So, better late than never. You didn't pick the most optimal route to do it, but I really like the decision making here that you're saying, hey, you know what? This is going to cost me a little bit of time, but I need to do this because this could potentially save me a ton of time later. So this is the right decision. Um, you can route it a little bit more efficiently, but this is good. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, perfect. I like beautiful. Whoa. Once again, where are we going? But once again, there, I would recommend saving. You have too much disrespect for the overworld. Anything can wipe you with skills and spells unless you're 100% sure the sea is safe and the overworld is safe. You got to be saving after you shop. Um, yeah. Oh, like this. Wow. I'm psychic, but evidently not entirely. But yeah, that that's gonna happen. And if you had a few less levels, that could have cost you even more. Where are you going? You don't have the canoe. Oh, are you going for a pop grind for the floater? Okay. Okay. This is gonna take a while, so I have lots of. I don't have to pause because I can discuss this while this takes forever. Um, I would not pop grind for the floater here. Okay, there's a couple of reasons. Mostly it's because I don't have the canoe yet. If I had the canoe and I could just like get straight into the air if I got enough money, I would debate this. But the fact of the matter is I have to go into the ruby tournament, and it turns out the ruby tournament could just have a bunch of gold just sitting there. And if that fails, I would much rather go like check Hall of Giants for like the 5 seconds it takes and walk all the ways over here, spend like a minute or two walking around fighting like medium EXP gold enemies just to buy the floater so I don't have to go back to Provoca. The other reason it's not that big of a deal to go back to Provoca is because you're going back into the inner sea anyways to turn in the floater a lot of the time. Like, you don't have to, but it's like not the end of the world to be here. It's the same continent. So yeah, I disagree with this decision, although I like the like thought process that like I want some gold, so I'm gonna go pop grind. But pop grind is like a super last resort thing. You have so many better options here. Yes, it's good in vanilla, but it's generally speaking not good in the randomizer. With like the exception of like a 26,000 gold key in Elfland when you have nothing in Marsh. Not that that's ever happened before on stream during the finals or something ridiculous like that. But we're getting some levels. This is okay. It's not the end of the world. Early levels are generally worth more than late levels, so I do like getting early levels, but I think there's just better ways than popping. Like, remember that like the encounter zone here is like slightly different than um the encounter zone like near Crescent Lake, but it's not that much better. You could just go to Crescent Lake too. The reason Pop Grind is valuable in vanilla is because the inner sea encounters in Marsh Cave suck. So Pop is only good relative to that, but like Pop is worse than what's it called? Than like Sky or Sea for EXP. Like Pop is not that good. It's just better than the alternatives in vanilla. Anyways, we got the floater. So yeah, I disagree with this routing decision, but it works. Okay, don't go to Matoya. Good. I disagree too. Okay. Slightly faster there to go up instead of down. Unless you're going to Crescent Lake. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, this is no, I don't think this is a good decision either. Okay, you forgot you didn't have canoe. Okay, that makes more sense. But even with canoe, you're going for floater training. Okay. I buy this now. Okay, cool. um, couple notes then. One, obviously you forgot you didn't have canoe, but if you did have canoe and you bought the Provoca floater, it's way faster to go inner sea, like just navigate the river system and encounter manip through them, than it is to go all the ways this way. I guess if the sea encounters are really friendly, maybe this is debatable, but like I wouldn't do this. But of course here the play is definitely the ruby. The reason the play is the ruby is it's two incentive locations versus one. Why do we only have two party members up? Yeah, you can't check the canoe, so that's fair. Uh, so evidently we've decided that we're going to go for two-man strats here. I know that's not actually what you're doing, but we should probably be bringing your party back up. This is a good opportunity, though, if you did want to down off one of the black mages, to do so. A couple notes, Crescent Lake Magic 2 through 4 is Red Wizard learnable, so that Cure 4 is available once you promote. Whoa, okay. Hmm, I kind of like that reset, actually. I disagree with the whole route, but the reset is actually pretty good. Like, I think if you had remembered you didn't have the canoe, you wouldn't have made that decision in the first place, but hey, Life Reboot, how's it going? Yeah, we're just hanging out. Chanigan's made some like pretty solid decisions, but a couple memory gaps, a little bit of lack of elemental weakness knowledge, as well as a kind of a difficult decision on the blue dragon really has cost him some time here, as well as the decision to keep the red mage in the second slot. So yeah, the reset was good. You decided to go to Elflin because you wanted to buy Masa, but you didn't have enough money. Um, if your memory's not good yet, you can try and work on it in game, but I would suggest keeping some basic notes. The best runners still sometimes keep notes. Maybe not the very best, but like most runners still keep notes of some sort. But they just take the notes when they're not needing to do something. So like if I have my controller, I can be moving while taking a note or typing a note. But I can't really be menuing, so I do it when I'm walking or when I'm like waiting for battle animations to finish. So life here is red wizard learnable, and that's really important to note. So this is where knowing your spells is important. So I don't know if you knew that that life was red wizard learnable, or if you just came back blindly and hoped later. But okay, why are we checking the weapon shop now? This is something I've discussed a lot in previous videos about like checking the weapon shop in general. But here we have Masa. Um, we have defense. There is literally no weapon that we care about that remains in the game. I guess if you wanted like a mage staff or something, but like just a waste of time. I would never be checking weapon shops from this point onward, and I definitely didn't. Checking the armor shop, on the other hand, totally fine, because we still haven't found like a ribbon, for example. So like knowing why we're checking various things is good. Okay, cool. Ice 3 against undead once again. If it's undead, it resists ice. Just full stop. You know what you can use harm 4 on, hopefully. Um, basically anything that looks spooky. So, anything that you would use harm 4 on, don't use ice on. Opening chest here is a good idea for some money. And there's our canoe. Okay, so we're in the air. So let's take a look here when you get it in the air. Yeah, menuing is fine, but I think a little bit more thought could go into your spell selections, just like a touch more. I like that you're menuing fast, and that's something that I've like challenged people to do. So like I think you're doing the right thing, but if you're improving, as you're improving, I challenge you to think not take more time on it, but like learn the enemy weaknesses, make sure you're selecting the right spell, but still doing it as quickly as possible. Okay, so a couple notes here on exit usage. Now the divergence question: do you go straight for floater or grab Sarda first? Uh, I'm pretty sure I check Sarda, but I can see either way. The reason I would check Sarda here is because so Reese is asking, do you go to Sarda or do you go floater and then fly over here? The reason I go over here is because I'm not planning on flying over here anytime soon, so I would check Sarda. Because my first thing is I would go down, but I think it's pretty close. If I was encounter manipulating through this, so like there's no encounters, this is just like 2/10 and a go, so I would do it. A couple notes on exit usage though. One, you want to exit out of Sarda way faster. Two, in Titan's Trove, it's slightly faster if you're going to check Sarda to walk all the ways this way to this exit, go check Sarda, and then come back and exit out. So actually, that's the reason why I did that exact order, which is the other reason I did Sarda first, because I didn't get the canoe until after I exited out. So yeah, that decision didn't even occur to me, but I did end up checking Sarda. So in general, something I'm seeing a lot of too is just like lack of overworld saving, lack of overworld encounter manipulation. If you're getting an hour 30, hour 35 on these duckling seeds, it's something you probably want to start considering. And I don't remember who it was. I think it was Septimus. I'm pretty sure it was Septimus, but it was a vet in chat who mentioned that like beginners overworld saving is just like using tents and stuff every once in a while. And if there's a long run off the power cycle, just using that one run. If there's not, just using tents every once in a while, and when you hit an encounter, soft resetting. So just working that basic encounter manip into your gameplay is going to help quite a bit. Um, okay, awesome. Yeah, cool, cool. I mean, you bought 27 tents, which I love. I buy like 40 tents, 40, 50 tents if I can. So something I wanted to compare here. I recorded my run, and I mean, I don't know where I came exactly. Oh, that's me. Let's not watch that. I'm like, I don't know. I did decent on this, but I'm not the fastest player. But I wanted to see what my airship timestamp was, just for cross reference. So, okay, I did ordeals first too, which also makes a difference. But let's see. So I'm buying the floater right now. Buying spells. Okay, I'm promoting here, so I must have this. Okay, so my floater timestamp is 31 as well, but I've done ordeals. So I'm basically a dungeon ahead at this point. Um, yeah, but that's not too bad. That's honestly pretty good. Oops, I quit the wrong video. Let's go back. Okay, so we're getting in the airship. Now, I don't know how many vets in chat did ordeals before they did anything else, but I decided to do ordeals because I like sailing to ordeals and there was a good run, but that's kind of minor. I don't like preference like floating to ordeals. If I can ship there with warp, I do it a lot of the time. Okay, this is good. I have literally lost a race because I forgot to go back to somewhere that I reset out of, so like that's very impressive and nice use of exit, really really good. So we just got in the air. We have. I'm assuming we're gonna go get a Masa right now. Nope. Where are we going? We're gonna promote. Okay, this is. Oh, where are we going? Why are we going here? Hmm. Interesting. So I guess you wanted to. Did you forget you had the shop item already? I'm just not sure why we'd like prioritized Oasis this hard, but yeah. Okay, you forgot you had the shop item. Okay, that's fine. So, this is actually an interesting decision. We're deciding to do. So, what are our options right now? We could do Ice Cave Volcano. We can do On-Rat Continent. We can't do Sky. We could do Ordeals. Um, there's one item in this game we can skip, which is the tail. Everything else is going to be required because there's no dead items essentially, and we already have found the canal. So let's go through kind of the thought process here about what our options are. First off, do we have exit or warp? That's a question you should always ask. Yes to both. Okay, so with warp and exit, Ice Cave is very, very fast. Um, Waterfall is also very fast, and Ordeal's as ideal as it can be. If you don't have warp or exit, that really dictates. Like no warp or exit, Ice Cave kind of drops if you can get warp or exit later in the game. Um, Ordeals drops quite a bit if you don't have warp, but if you have exit, then it doesn't do anything there. And Waterfall, you just want one or the other. So that's something that definitely starts playing in my head. The other thing is like, can you clear an area? And Castle of Ideals with warp, yeah. And the answer to that is yes, actually, I can clear on-rat continent because I have the Oxyale and I have Brack for Kraken. So I like the decision here to go to the on-rat continent. I probably personally, I'm almost positive I did Ice Cave first, and the reason is Ice Cave is just so fast. Like I can clear that area too, and I'm there anyways. Like I got the floater, and then I just went straight to Ice Cave and Volcano because I'm right there rather than flying down to Onrak. But I think either of those two continents is where you want to go and finish clearing, and leave Ordeals till later. Um, yeah, I did Volcano to Ice since I was right there. Yeah, exactly. And I also bought a Masa before I did Volcano to make sure I could kill Carry. But that's not the end of the world. So this is a good decision though. Really, I like this decision a lot too. So the reason you do Waterfall before, eh, this is okay. If you didn't have Oxyale, this is a bad decision. Like 100%, this is a bad decision if you don't have Oxyale because then you're double dipping the on-rack continent, which is not ideal. If you didn't have the shop item yet, I would prioritize on-rack continent over Volcano Ice Cave because there's potentially two key items here. I also would have done the bottle turn in then too if you don't have it. Do you? Where's the bottle in this thing? I don't know if you have the bottle or not. Oh no, you don't have the bottle yet. Yeah. So if you don't have the bottle, if you have the bottle, I would also do that. If you haven't found the shop item yet. But with the shop item, I think I slightly lean towards Volcano and Ice Cave because Warp and Exit are so fast in Ice Cave. Anyway, speaking of Waterfall before on-rack, basically, if you are going to clear Waterfall for sure, no matter what you find um, in Sea Shrine, you do Waterfall first. And the reason is because you're getting more experience to go into the more dangerous, longer dungeon. And these chests are just faster if you're going to open any boxes at all. So in general, if you know that you're going to go to Waterfall for sure, you go Waterfall first. The only time you do um, Sea Shrine first is if, for example, there's an incentive item in Sea Shrine and you only need one more key item. Like let's say you need the loot for Go mode, and you can potentially skip Waterfall entirely if you get it like loose in Sea Shrine. Then you can do Sea Shrine first. But in general, Waterfall first is good. So yeah, pretty nice. I guess we can use heal pots there, but you can just use a bunch of tents too. It's kind of a tent is like using a heal pot on each person of your party. I would have taken that fight. So gas dragons are weak to ice 3 and also weak to massa. Most single enemies in the game are weak to massa. So yeah, I would have taken that for experience, but not the end of the world. Um, Nightmares are also weak to ice 3, but running from them is fine. The golden rule of Sea Shrine is if it doesn't, it either dies to Ice 3 or Quake. Um, these died to Quake. No, you don't really want to be using Quake though. You mostly want to be using Nuke or Punches, but most things in here are weak to Ice 3. Otherwise, it's Undead um, or Golems. So yeah, so I would have taken all of those fights basically, except for maybe the Mudgulls, and even the Mudgulls, if I would have had a Moss at this point, I would have punched them. Definitely take this fight. Okay, so once again, spell selection. I'm noticing in general a trend that you probably don't have your elemental weaknesses memorized, and that's actually one of the reasons I love this seed that Sir Link-a-Lot vetted, was that it gave you all three elemental spells as like your primary damage dealers, which means spell selection was super, super important. Um, There are some freaking weird elemental weaknesses. Like my most quoted one, Earth elementals are weak to fire. Yes, you can remember that. Um, everything in Earth is weak to fire pretty much, but that's just weird. But if it's found underwater, it's weak to lightning. If it's undead, it's weak to fire. If you don't know, don't cast Ice 3. That's kind of the gist of it. You can get more later, but those ones are the big ones you should remember. So this is underwater. It's weak to Ice 3 or Lightning 3. So Lightning 3 is going to do more damage here on average than Ice. Okay, black shirt, copper bracelet. There's your bottle. And now we use exit, right? Beautiful. So your exit usage is pretty good. A couple places you've forgotten, like Sarda and also in towns, you have a similar problem to a lot of ducklings, which is that you think about exit as a dungeon spell, and then you forget to use it in like safe places. But I know that's something that you probably already have improved on quite a bit, so just mentioning it again. These guys are worth a ton of EXP, by the way, but kind of garbage to fight most of the time. Yeah, cool. Yep, sure. Okay. Okay. I don't know why we need cabins here, because you basically just need tents, but it's fine. Okay, an important. Let's see. We've seen Cure 4, we've seen Life. I don't think we've seen Life 2. Yeah, I don't think we've seen Life 2. So, slot 1 in OnRack, if this is just something that's good to remember, and it always has stuck out in my head, so I'll mention it. Slot 1 in OnRack is your red mage, like, I'm in a world of pain. I need a spell really badly. Slot 1 in white in OnRack is that slot, because red wizards can learn it. So I usually will check slot 1 in OnRack for Life 2, for example, or Cure 4 for my red if I'm running red mages. You do have access to um, life learnable at level 6, but okay, Fog 2 is useless. But just a note. Yeah, that's the Hail Mary spell slot. Exactly. That's like, oh crap, everything's gone wrong. Please, 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 please. And you do get bailed out sometimes. Okay, that. So once again, I've been your step routing in dungeons is pretty good. A couple free steps you're missing, like you're maybe taking 4 or 5 extra steps than like I would in Marsh, for example, but pretty good. But your town routing tends to be less consistent, and towns can lose not as much time as dungeons because you're not getting encounters when you take wrong steps. But towns are really important areas to optimize. So in general, before you go into OnRack, you want to use a house. The frickin' place here is too slow to go to. So just use a house outside. Yeah. Also, it's faster in many. I think it's almost certainly faster to go into the town, buy a cabin, exit out, use the house, or sorry, buy a house, exit out, use a house, and then walk back in than it is to walk all the ways around there and leave. So yeah, that's what I almost always do here. Whoa. Um, why are we going to mermaids? Oh God. Are you encounter? What are you doing? Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. Um, a couple issues here. So one, I don't know why we went in the direction of mermaids. We don't. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'm here not in a bad way. Like it's once again, it's never like you're an idiot. You're a stupid player. You should never play Final Fantasy again. It's just like what's the thought pattern behind it? And the thought pattern behind it here is that you go to mermaids when you want to open more chests. Like mermaids is fantastic for opening chests, or there's an incentive item there. We don't need chests. We have everything we need in shops except for maybe a ribbon. The ribbon's a concern, but you can open a lot of free boxes instead of going to mermaids. And there's no incentive item there. So I think this is a pretty easy, like, beeline to Kraken, maybe open some greed boxes and brack him to death. Um, the other thing is because, for example, there's a couple small decisions that you've made that like a veteran player would do slightly differently, like taking no fights in Waterfall, for example, that have left you slightly under leveled. So you've got some good levels from popping, but then you didn't take fights in Waterfall, and that lower level makes a difference in a dungeon like Sea Shrine. Like Sea Shrine, you want to be like level 16, for example, to like survive okay. And your armor is also not great because you haven't been able to invest in like silver or gold bracelets. You have chain armor only. So all that leads to Sea Shrine being a little bit more dangerous than it is. And if you're gonna come here and not do Sea Shrine, you shouldn't be coming here. That's why you should be doing Ice and Volcano first. So if you come to Onrak Continent without clear with and not clear Sea Shrine, that's a pretty substantial time loss. We're talking a couple minutes there. Okay, bottle turn is a good idea. Okay, so something I talked about before about weapon shops also applies to armor shops. There is no black magic left that we care about except for Nuke, and even Nuke at level 7 is like mediocre. So I would be honestly just skipping black magic shops at this point. White magic, on the other hand, you can't learn anything at level 7 Gaia, so also no reason to check white magic here. So these are like little tiny optimizations, but like I'm picking a lot on your town routing, and that's because your dungeon routing is pretty good, but your town routing definitely could use a lot of work. And you probably lost a lot of your time here actually just from towns, as well as a couple bad wipes because of kind of larger level, more strategic factors rather than tactical ones. Whoa, okay. So this is justifiable because you don't have a ribbon, but there's faster checks to do. If you're going to do Cardia looking for one item, you want to do, and the one item you need right now is a ribbon. That's all you care about. You want to do the bottom right one first because it has the most chests. Also, once again, you can use exit there instead of walking out. But I like going here to promote. This is fine. Cool beans. We go promote. Now, something that I was talking about. Oh, do you do it? Do you do it? Okay. I guess you don't have anything to equip really, but something I was talking about in my other streams is that when you promote, it's really good to have some habits that you get into. So after you promote, it's really good to like equip your weapon and armor immediately, so you don't forget until you get into Temple of Fiends Revisited, like a previous player. And also buying magic really fast is also a good idea. So like a lot of the times I'll promote and immediately go buy my magic. Oh no! So you went into Cardia. I don't think you found a ribbon, and then you skipped the largest Cardia aisle. So yeah, that's definitely something that's a little bit expensive. Also, we're going into Elfland with no money again. I don't know why we're here. So once again, town routing, right? Like, why are we going to Elfland? Like, the big reason, the big reason. So in my seed, I made a very, very conscious effort to make sure that I only double dipped Elfland. Or no, I did triple dip it, but the one trip was just to get a Masa. But I was really trying to avoid like going back here over and over and over again. And there's a couple of reasons you come back here. One is for spells, one is for Masas, and maybe armor. But going right now doesn't make a ton of sense. So just being a little bit more cognizant of your town routing. Whoa, do we have the rod? Oh, okay, we're okay, yeah. This is disappointing. I know this is disappointing. I checked this exact thing, but this is not a bad decision. These are three really fast checks for a grind tile, and once again, you need to grind for money. You're not grinding for experience here. And these frost dragons were decent. Oh, we don't have fire 3. Hmm, unfortunate. But these things were paper, so and also worth like 6,000 gold or something crazy like that. So, whoa, okay. Spell selection again. I saw an Ice 3 cast there. I don't think it went off, but these guys have frost. They're called frost dragons. They resist ice. And exit. Okay, cool. Good. Don't take that step there as best you can. I've seen too many players wipe when they take a step out of the dungeon entrance. Just save as soon as you exit. Um, so I'm not. What are we doing here? Are we looking for a ribbon again? Okay, maybe we're looking for a ribbon. Oh, that's a Thorhammer. So I don't know if you meant to take the Frost Dragon again here, but if you walk along the bottom of this room, you can skip. There's a tile here, but there's no tile here. So if you want to skip it, you can go this way. But taking the Frost Dragons here are totally fine. So like you might have meant to do that. I'm just pointing it out in case you didn't. Yeah, opening boxes is tempting, but like in no loose flag sets, you want to prioritize cheap boxes and skip expensive boxes. And these Earth boxes are relatively expensive. And by expensive, I mean time, of course. Um, the cheap boxes here that are available to you are the largest Cardia Isle that you skipped, and Volcano Armory would be coming to mind as like cheap boxes. Whoa, 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 whoa. Why are we going deeper into? We don't have the rod, right? Okay, so this is just. I think you're thinking boxes, but you're just picking the wrong boxes here. These are very expensive boxes, and even if we had the rod, these boxes are probably not the first ones we want to open. Like we almost certainly rather go to volcano first here. So uh, I'm not quite sure what the like motivation for this dive is. If it's boxes or if it's I'm thinking I can kill a lich and I'm gonna get rod blocked. Um, but obviously I just kind of disagree with this decision here. I think you have the rod, or maybe you just haven't tracked it. If you have the rod, this is more okay. But once again, it just comes down to like what's the plan right now? Well, I haven't gone to Ice Cave yet. I have 3 boxes there plus an incentive item that I almost certainly need. Actually, I'm guaranteed to need it because I already found the tail. I haven't done ordeals yet, and I need to do ordeals. So those two would be like very very top of mind. And then if I need chests, I have Volcano Armory and the largest on-rack or the largest Cardia Isle available. So in all cases, I'd feel like for a number of reasons, you're not going to Earth first. Um, so like I really liked your routing in the early game, but I think since you got into the airship and a bunch of choices opened up, it started to suffer a little bit. And I think it's just like a lot of decisions, um, makes it easier to make mistakes here. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So that was a big waste of time. We basically got if you went there and just killed frost dragons, not bad. But the fact that we went all the way down to the vampire for essentially nothing, that's just time that we can't get back. Even if you thought you needed money, I still think you do ordeals. Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But even if okay, but let's hypothetically say that Earth has an incentive item. So if Earth has an incentive item, you have 3 choices. You have Ice Cave, you have ordeals, and you have a vampire box. Let's assume that all 3 are necessary. So what order would we rather do them in? Well, if either ice or ordeals contains the rod, it's way better to do those first than vampire. And also, if there's no loose items and those are my only incentive locations that are available, I'm guaranteed to get the rod somewhere, which means we really want to make sure that we're doing the other ones first, because if we've already done the other ones, the rod's guaranteed to be in the vampire chest. So in all cases, we want to delay Earth. In general, if you can skip Earth before you get the rod, you want to do so. There are some exceptions where like sometimes you can dive Earth early for an incentive box if you don't have the canoe, for example, and you have warp and exit. But like if there's other incentive locations that are available to you relatively safely and quickly, like for example in this case warp, ice, and ordeals, you almost always want to do those later. Those do those first, sorry, and then skip Earth till later. Um, yeah. So AL Markin pointing out in chat that you have also the spells in different orders, and this comes down to that thing I was talking about before, which is that you want to have a pattern, like you want to have a menuing cadence, like A down A down A down A, whatever. And in this case, because you have your spell split, you have to do different things for different black mages, and that costs extra mental load that you just don't need. So yeah, don't do that. Try and have all your mages set up as consistently as possible. Aelmark and Landing School, and we're finally gonna buy some Masas. Yay! Yeah, so let's buy 2. We don't need 3. Cool. And we're going to go buy power bonks. Power bonks. We're going to go buy power bonks. We're going to buy power bonks. Okay, well, so we have temper, which is okay, but power bonks are the power bonks are not replaceable here. Yes, we have tempers, but if your black mages go down, and you still don't, I don't even know if you know that you have access to life or not. But if you have no access to life, temper is incredibly, or saber is incredibly valuable on an item. Um, yes, Reese, I know black belt maybe don't need them, but for fighter comps, temper is or saber is incredibly valuable. So power bonk is actually a much bigger deal there than even upgrading your armor. So I would be buying power bonks on both your knight and your red mage. Yeah, what Septimus is saying is 100% correct. If I have a knight that has defense, power bonk, um, and a ribbon, I'm not confident I can solo bosses, but I can like it is a solid chance on this scaling that I can solo Tiamat and Chaos if like everything goes wrong. Without Power Bonk though, that chance just like plummets. Massa by itself is not that great, as you can see from like my previous race where I got like bailed out super hard. Actually, yeah, if you want to see an example of a Topher dive going differently because I had Power Bonk versus without it, go check out the race that I posted on my Twitch channel right before this. I was like in go mode. I had everything I needed, but I didn't. Temper and fast were both level 8, and I didn't have the power bonk, and I had the slab, and this power bonk was incentivized. So I was debating what I want to do, whether I want to go turn that in to see if I can promote, or if I wanted to go that. And without that bonk, that dive would not have succeeded. So it's just huge. Oh wait, he went back for the power bonks. One power bonk. I mean, to be fair, the red mage does need it more than the black mage, but eh. Oh, also yeah, four masses I know is a meme. Like it's kind of funny, but like in general, your mage. Sorry, what was I saying? I don't know what you guys missed, but yeah, we didn't buy Bonk, and also, yeah. Buying four Masas here is fun, but kind of redundant because your Black Mages are going to do more damage by doubling the hits of your Knight and your Red Mage than they are going to do by swinging the Masa themselves. So Ice Cave, right play. Ice Cave is good. Ice Play with Warp and Exit and no loose is just so free. Like, it's so fast. So, like, I prioritize going to Ice Cave when I can with the floater, with Warp and Exit. Yeah. I mean, let's say that again. Like, with infinite resources, like let's say we walked into Elfland with like $200,000. You buy Masas because why not? But like with limited money, you don't buy Masas there. Like you don't prioritize Masa on the black mages when you have other options. Okay, we got the rod. So I mean, yes, I played the seed, but regardless, um, this is just why going to Earth early, even if it was incentivized. I know you forgot it wasn't incentivized, but like the thought pattern that it's incentivized, I'm going to go there first is still wrong because you want to do ice and ordeals before you go to Earth for this exact reason. I would clear Volcano here because I'm in the area, but skipping it's okay. Hmm. Okay. Sure. So we still don't. Okay, let's quickly talk like high level strategy here. Our win condition here is going to be Masa swinging fighter with a black backup of Masa swinging red mage. Our red mage can learn wall. Our red wizard can learn wall, but that's our only thing right now. So I would probably risk it like that, but I would be opening greed boxes for ribbons, is what I would be doing at this point. I don't know if other veterans in chat have like differing opinions. Like you're pretty bloody fast here, like Masa with fast temper. Like maybe you don't even need a ribbon because you just try and kill everything before it kills you, and that's definitely doable. But I would probably be opening greed boxes, looking for a ribbon, and otherwise skipping any chests that are out of the way. Um, this is okay, but I hope you skip the bottom. Um, hey, we get to say my favorite. Oh god, waters are so miserable. We get to talk about my favorite room. This is the W room, or if you're crazy like me, the sideways E room. Um, there's basically encounter tiles in front of all these chests, so you want to make a W, slightly slanted W, to avoid all the encounters. Now, ooh, there's a loose Massa. Okay, well, you know what? We wanted our mages to have Massas. Our mages are getting Massas. This is a really good floor to use warp on. Warp to the staircase is way faster than walking back here. Bert asking a very good question, chat. If knight has life, no ribbon is easy. What is the knight magic situation? So the knight does not have life. We actually only have level 6 life available, which I'm not sure if Chanigan realizes because it was red wizard only. Um, so life situation is a little bit sketchy. And even if we do have life, we're going to have limited casts unless we get a bunch of levels. So yeah, definitely cast warp here. There's a couple other places where warping in dungeons is a good idea. The most notable are the sky floors. So sky 1, when you go right and left, you want to warp. Sky 2, you go down the left side, warp, go down the right side. And sky 3, go to the right, warp, go up, warp, go left, just walk down after that. So those are all really good, like, little step saves. Hey! He does something right that Sir Linkalot still does wrong every time I watch him, which is take the middle path instead of the bottom path. I don't know if Sir Linkalot's here, but this is the call out for you. He's not. Oh, I'm just being rude now. But he always takes the bottom path, and it drives me insane. The middle path is strictly better. There's just no reason to go bottom. Of course, it's like two-step difference. So if you take two extra steps to the left anywhere, it's you're not saving any steps. But it is good to get in the right habits. Small little note on item placement. So that power bonk you want in the first slot because it's your caster item, and in slot 3 it's really really awkward. So that's just something that you want to prioritize. And this is kind of similar to spells where you just want them in an easy to use spot so that way you can have consistent muscle memory, and that power bonk's just in the wrong spot. Other note, I'm assuming you walked along the bottom here because you thought they were free steps, but this is not inside of a room, this is just inside of a dungeon, so it's you don't want to walk along the bottom here, you want to walk right there. Okay. Yeah, so item magic, OP. Power bonk defense are like incredibly broken. So you really, really want to be using item magic. Also, like stuff that you'll see in later sets is like if you can't find a grind for a black belt, for example, mage staff against like metal slimes, or even like mummies, whiz mummies can be like really good. Like item magic has a lot of limited uses. And another big one is like item magic on your white mage who's fully rused up against a punch happy fiend can clear a fiend as a backup plan. So like item magic in general is just really really good. Now when you have casts of non-item magic like all those um, all those spells, like you don't need to be using them here. Like using lightning is totally fine here as opposed to um, casting an item magic. Like you have the cast, but item magic has a very specific situation. And yeah, as Bert's pointing out, like ruse is incredibly powerful. So like having it on your knight is so good. Once again, we've talked about undead, but like ice 3, not a good decision here. Lich also undead, harm 4 works, therefore don't use ice. Um, Also, I have 3 masks to show you. Okay, so I disagree with fast on Lich 1, and this just comes down to relative HP pools and how many turns it's going to take to kill Lich. So in this flag set, let's talk quickly about that. Lich has 50 to 100, no, 80 to let's who made these flags? Oh right, me. I should know this. 80 to 150% HP, which means Lich 1 has between like 300ish and 600 HP. Lich is surviving exactly 1 round because your mass is going to do 2 to 300 damage, and then your second mass is going to do 100 to 200 damage, and then your 2 lit 3 casts are going to do like 70 to 150 damage. So Lich is dying in 1 round, which means fast is basically if it goes off first, great, he's dying. If it doesn't go off first, he's dying. So you generally speaking want to just go speed and power here. Against higher HP bosses though, fast, like swing, 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 fast is totally fine. So that just comes down to like really understanding their HP totals and how much damage output you're going to do. Basically, if a fight's going to take 3 rounds, almost always fast. If it's going to take 1 or 2 rounds, fast becomes more questionable because just like casting nuke or casting fire 3 or lit 3 is going to make the fight end earlier, and that's really your goal. Whoa! Nintendo Power shows its ugly head. I don't. I think we've corrected this already for you, Chanigan. But the slight one, the one on the right, is faster to land on than there. Yeah, corrected. Jats Correctional School. Yeah, but we know that. Okay, so Ordeal's a really good decision here. The one issue I have with like the routing, once again, you skip Volcano, and now Volcano is all isolated in its top right. Okay, yeah, perfect. But Volcano's kind of isolated. If you view the maps, and Reese was talking about this earlier, but like if you want to clear the map in sections, I don't. How to put this? I don't prioritize in clearing the map in sections as much when it's not entrance floor, but if you can full clear a section, you should go to that section and full clear it. So, for example, if you're in the Melman continent and you don't have the rod, I wouldn't suggest full clearing everything there and leaving the rod. I would just suggest like basically skipping that area. But you were near Volcano and Ice Cave, so let's do them together. Basically, whenever you do Ice Cave, you almost always want to be doing or Volcano. The one exception is with loose items, but like with no loose, you do Ice Cave, just go kill carry a lot of the time. Because right now we have it isolated, which means we're gonna have to go, you know, on rack, sky, then we're gonna have to go up to Volcano. It's not the end of the world, but not ideal. Yeah, the part that hurts is when the fight takes 3 rounds with or without fast. Yeah, then it's kind of questionable. But like, there's some fights where I'd say there's more obvious answers than others. We have I I'm positive you know about the warp trick, but you could have saved some steps here by using warp. Wait, no warp? Oh, like you mean you didn't use warp? Yeah, that's fine. I did want to quickly mention the utility of the tile up here. So this chest is linked to the one on the top floor. And once again, as I want to go a little bit more in depth on some things, this chest is linked to the one on the top floor, but there is a tile here that's unique. And if you need a trap tile for like a grind, I would check this. Here you don't, obviously, but I just wanted to kind of put that little nugget of information in here that this room does have some utility. I have seen eyes there before. Cool, cool. Small menu optimization, I think. Pretty sure. No, I don't think it matters. It's fine. I would press up there, but it's super minor. Hey, we got through. Yep, this is fine. I like the decision to punch the red dragon here. Level 19, level are looking pretty good. Hey, you skipped the box. Awesome. So I 100% agree with checking these boxes, by the way. So the reason, this is why I like to do our deals, because we want to check these boxes for the ribbon because they're so fast. This is 8 boxes for like no time at all, compared to like clearing Earth, for example. I would take this fight, but whatever. Okay, we got the crystal. Oh, not the right decision. What are we doing? Okay, I don't know if you thought warp would get you out or if you want to take the tile some more. I think you want to take the tile. Okay, okay, okay. This is cool. This is, yeah, I actually kind of like this decision. I respect this. This is for what you're doing. So, you know, I've talked a lot about weapon breakpoints, but Masa for Ducklings is the most important one, and the Masa gets a breakpoint at +4. Or sorry, wow, that Masa gets a breakpoint at 24 for the fighter, where it goes from 4 swings to 5 swings, which ends up being like a 25% damage increase roughly. It's a little bit higher because of the extra damage per level as well, but it's roughly a 25% damage increase for like, you know, the difference between 23 and 24. We haven't cleared sea or sky yet though, so we're going to take some fights there. Um, and the one weapon in the game that doesn't make a difference with the Blursing for positive is the Masa because it's already max hit. So it's going to be 24 or higher depending on if it rolls down. So 24 is pretty much going to be your target right now for this fighter, if you can. And the Red Wizard, I don't know where its breakpoint is, but I don't think it matters that much. I want to say it's like 28 or 29 or somewhere up there. But yeah, so this night, 24. With the current EXP scaling key items we have and the fact that we need to do Sea Shrine and Sky, I would anticipate getting between 2 and 4 levels in those dungeons, depending on how many fights you take. So we're pretty close to good enough levels, but you could take like a level or 2 here. What I don't want to see is you going all the ways up to 24 here, because we are going to have to take some fights, or we can take some fights along the way. And this red dragon is really like not that great for EXP. So like, you know, these fights are taking a while, so it's not the best EXP per like second by any stretch. Really, it's 37. Oh, geez. Okay, well, it's terrible. When's the fourth hit? It's got to be like in the 20s then. Oh, what? Okay, whatever. I'm bad at red mages. This is why I never bring them. Okay, perfect. Great time to stop that grind, by the way. So yeah, good understanding. I don't know why you stopped the grind there, if it's because of this exact thing, but that was like exactly when I probably would have stopped my grind if I was going to go back and take a grind. You'll probably honestly with the CXP scaling get more than 2 or 3 levels in Sky and Sea, even if you just take unrunnables or like things that have really good EXP, like Gershark's Big Eyes. But so we're gonna go turn in our crystal, I'm assuming. Yeah, that's good. Ribbon. Okay, so we got our free ribbon and a free chest. That should be the end of box opening. There is like nothing else that you can possibly find in a box that matters. The only other thing would be like a second ribbon, but that is like really not needed because like your backup plan. Okay, so we put the ribbon on our life caster, which is our red wizard. our backup plan of Red Wizard casting Masa with Bonk is pretty bloody good. So even if our fighter gets zapped or bracked or baned or whatever, we still have a backup plan. Especially if you equip that Red Wizard with a Bonk and a defense. So we don't need another Ribbon. We have Masa plus sevens. We're like in great shape. This is the end of boxes. Ribbon is the only really thing that I would be considering. So hopefully we are done opening boxes here. Exit in safe zones again. So exit out of Matoya's saves quite a bit of time. Well, okay, saves some seconds. Um, okay, that ribbon placement's probably a bad idea. Um, yeah, equip the ribbon on. Well, okay, so you don't have life, and I don't know if you know you're getting life. So putting the ribbon on the black mage is a little bit more defendable. But here's the thing: if you're in a bad fight, who would you rather have alive? Your exit casting red mage with a Masa who can actually swing it, or your nothing casting black mage with a Masa who can swing it really badly. That's what we're looking at here. But I mean, in general, it's just like life caster first, melee damage dealer second. Black mages can die. I love black mages. My profile pick is a black mage. Black mages are my like soul creature, but they're not worth keeping alive over other things. They're there to like do things fast and then die. Hey, good exit use. Yeah, punching this is fine. So I anticipate that you're going to overlevel a little bit here. I would be aiming to go into Topher at like exactly 24 because like everything is great and any more than that is going to be, spending too much time in fights. I think you're going to be a little bit over because just you have too many dungeons left to do. But we will see. Okay, where are we going? Are we going to go by life? No, life is not important. You were there anyways. Once again, like Final Fantasy Randomizer is hard. I was just talking about how we need to like fly over the map to get the rod before we go to Earth Cave. And now what I'm about to say is that you were right there, you should go kill Volcano. But it really comes down to like a double dip versus not. Like if you can full clear an area while you're there, you should probably do it. And the things that require if you can full clear is like levels, spells, and key items. But if you have all three of those, you should basically just be killing whatever you're near. Um, yeah, Rubes, life is not important. um, but here you've flown over a volcano a bunch of times. Um, you can just clear it while you're there because there's no reason not to. Black shirt's way better there. So black shirt provides resistance to both ice and time. No, yeah, ice and time. Yeah, and also just has gold bracelet defense. So that's 22, 22 absorb here. So pretty good. Where are we going? Do we want the Masa? Oh god. I mean, I guess that's fun, but obviously not necessary. Volcano? Volcano? Hey, we go to Volcano. Okay. So, as I mentioned, we should be basically done with opening boxes. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Let's go. Black shirt has 2 evade penalty, unusable. Okay, like, no joke. Don't even look at evasion penalty numbers for the most part. Like, just prioritize absorb. I guess like steel armor is like where we're starting to talk about like some actual things, but like for the most part it does not matter. Okay, so we're opening the free box, but the way that you step routed it's not free. Oh, that one's not free anyways. And you're stepping on the tile. But okay, so this box is free, but you have to step like up to the door. If you picture all volcano like doors like this, there's like 3 tiles in the door. You always want to skip the 2 outside ones because these both can cause encounters, but the step right in front of the door is free. So you always want to walk around and then walk straight up instead of walking sideways. It's one step, but like Cheesinator gave me a hard time about it, so now I always remember it. Also, if you want to check this chest for free, you want to go right along the wall. So in this room, if you're full clearing it, you go right here, left, up. If you're not full clearing and you just want the free box to go up, right, check, back down. And then none of these steps can cause encounters. Also, I don't know if you're purposely taking this Agama, but that is a trap tile. Okay, so we're taking more levels. But I don't think you need them. You're level 22 and you still haven't cleared Sky and Sea. But I mean, everyone's tolerance for risk is different. But like, I'd be feeling pretty good. Oh yeah, Reese has a really good point here too. Local black belt master here. When you're grinding, you want to be making sure that you're not ever taking encounters outside of the thing you're grinding. And this step can cause an encounter versus this step, because it's in front of or behind a door, cannot. So if you walk up down here, you don't get encounters. But if you walk side to side, this step could cause an encounter, which could cause you to get bracked or death touched or something to your black belt who's solo grinding. Here, there's very little that could kill you, but yeah, still good habits to get into. Um, so I guess, your mistakes are a little bit deeper. They require a little bit more like in-depth knowledge of the game to understand why they're mistakes. But you're making some high-level decision-making mistakes. Like, why are we grinding here when we still have other things? Like, what's my win condition? My win condition here. You've got the win condition is Ribbon Masa Fighter. You got Fast Temper. You got everything. But you're missing that like bosses are 80 to 150 here. I don't need that much power to get through this. If I wipe, it's going to have to go really badly. Oh man, my tea is cold. So yeah, I wouldn't be taking these levels here, but if this is what you need to do to feel comfortable, you can do so. But like, have a goal for your levels. Yeah. So what you're saying is you don't need a level 50 knight for, no, not even 200% scaling. Whoa, why are we going this way? For 80 to 150% scaling, Bert. I'm assuming you thought this was incentivized? But yeah, we don't want to check this. Also, this is another great floor. I remember I was talking about floors to warp on. This is another one. When this volcano chest definitely can be incentivized, and when it is, you want to take that chest and then warp. So I know I'm dumping a million pieces of information on you, so like, don't get me wrong. I don't expect every single one of these to stick, but I'll do a bit of a summary at the end to try and go through like what I think your next steps are, and I think you've already taken a bunch of them, so like I've got some confidence. Uh, Lord Fizzlebeef said you would come top 6 on the Thursday race, and I think you did. It got him exactly 6, so that's pretty bloody good considering the vets you were racing against. Ah, you know, this ogre could have nuke. Let's save as soon as we get out of volcano. It only has to happen once, but like that was a long dive with grinding. If you wipe there, boom, you lose a race like immediately. Don't forfeit, um, but yeah, very costly wipe. Okay, good stuff. So sea versus sky doesn't really matter. You're killing everything anyways, so whatever. Sky's closer, sure. Um, yeah, never risk that encounter outside volcano. Yeah. And Reese is right about the. Actually, I didn't know that. Well, I did know that. I don't have that right habit yet. That's definitely the correct. Um, yeah, that's good. I need to incorporate that into my gameplay. Moving that airship parking spot to the south. Yeah. You're totally right. I just haven't done that. Nice, thanks, Reese. See, this is Jat learning stream too. Um, why are we grinding? I mean, eyes are great, but whatever. It's fine. We know the issue. The issue is not that you're picking bad grind tiles. The issue is that you're not recognizing when you have enough to win. And those are very different issues. Um, I know eyes are so juicy, but I'm pretty sure every single vet got here and laughed because they're like, "Oh, eyes, ha, that's funny," but I'm already level 22 or 23, so I'm just gonna like take it once and go on with my life. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Yeah, so like these are the fights that I would have been taking if I didn't grind. And then these would have given us the levels that we needed because there's just enough of them on the way and they're worth pretty bloody good experience that like you could have hit level 24 just with these fights. I like saving before the bridge, by the way. This is really, really good habit. Warmech can have nuke. Remember, for those of you who might not be familiar, Warmech is part of the Fiend refight pool rather than the Fiend 1 pool, which means it does have nuke and nuclear in its pool. You currently have no life anyways, but healing up before that potential like first turn nuke can save a run. So I would always heal on the bridge, like when you get to the bridge. Yeah, and Cure 4, of course. Hello, Warmech. So, let's do fight evaluation again. Warmech has between 800 and 2000 or 1500 HP here. Your spells are going to do very little to him. This is definitely where you want to cast fast, probably on both your Red Wizard and your Knight. Um, Considering the punch that just occurred, I wouldn't be casting defense. I'd probably just be going speed and power, but I would be probably going swing, swing, fast, fast here because this is going to take more than 2 turns. Temper fast is also okay. Invis 2 is also okay. So good decision here, but I just want to contrast this with the Lich fight. That's more what I'm saying, like, just know how long it's going to take, how many turns your fighter's going to have to use that beneficial spells. You're getting really bad turn over here. I also want to check something, but yeah, okay, so when you're doing 7 hits with a Masa, once again, this requires understanding of breakpoints, but your Masa has 5 hits right now because he's past level, 5 hits right now. Your Masa has 5 hits right now because he's past level 24. He should have 10 hits after fast. He's only getting 7. After your like 4th or 5th temper, lock is going to do more here than temper. It really, really minor optimization, but can make a big difference. So just a small note that you want to be using lock here over temper after you've gotten like 2 or 3 tempers off when you're hitting 7 times. So that requires knowledge of how many times you should be hitting, but just interesting to note. Yeah, okay, so here your choices were to either go Brack or to go Fast Temper, but Fast Temper is totally fine. When you're This is time saving again, but when your fighter did 1300 damage with his first swing and you're on 150% bosses, I would just be waiting with both black mages or be casting like nuke. Because these temper casts are just wasting time. Sorry, I'm getting into like really small time saves here, but these are important things to like think about as you want to improve. Hey, we save. Good. Um, Good. Okay, so a lot of people might go to Gaia here to revive their party, but you're going to Onrak anyways, so better to not go to Gaia. Like this is where like more beginner ducks might think I need to revive my party member, and then the second thing is um, I need to go kill Sea Shrine, and they do it in 2 different steps. But like thinking ahead of like what's my next play, can I do what I want to do is good. I don't think he saved in the shadow of the tower. I didn't really notice. I just noticed he saved, and I was excited about it. Yeah, tower shadow's a free step. Something I also didn't know until like a week ago. So here, once again, using houses outside Onrak is good, but I understand here that by reviving your red mage, they're not at full health. Um, yeah. Yeah, so not having heal pots, of course, doesn't really matter for Sea Shrine, but it will matter for Temple of Fiends Revisited. So um, this is where writing a mental note of like, does Canaria have heal pots matters. There's a free step in front of that door, so you want to walk along the left. Yeah, like this is a really good like encounter too with 3 Masas. So that's another, for example, encounter I might take if I wasn't already level 29. Like if I was like level 21 after I took that grind and ordeals for a little bit, you take things like that. Okay, we're lost. That's fine. I was like, what is that routing? But yeah, that's fine. I was worried you were gonna go open up some boxes. I was like, what? Why? I gotta figure out how to make chat stay on screen for longer, but whatever. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I don't want to like tell people when their like routing is clearly wrong. It's more when their routing looks mostly right that I make corrections because that's when they might muscle memory that routing into their head, and I want them to get the fully correct routing in their head rather than like the 90% correct. The like 5% correct routing, they're obviously going to relearn the whole thing anyways. Well, I hope they relearn the whole thing anyways. Ooh, okay, so fairly evasive and absorby Kraken, but that's fine. I tend to go double fast here. Um, just because I think this fight's going to take like 3 turns, and I think the fast is going to pay off more on the red mage than the temper. But with this high absorb, this is probably fine. The one issue potential, not with this scaling, but the one issue is that if your knight gets punched down, having your red mage have fast is nice, but I think that's pretty minor. I don't even know if it's correct, but I would double fast there. Save, please save. So yeah, Chanigan, I don't know if this has happened to you yet. I don't know how many seeds you've run, but you are going to get punished super, super, super hard on the overworld if you don't start saving at some point. I think you've already fixed it, but like after you exit a dungeon, just save. I've been nicer to previous ducks because they had a lot of other things going on, but you're good enough. You got to save after you exit a dungeon. Yeah, play Dragon Warrior mode. Are there heal pots here? There are. Nice. Okay, good stuff. That was a lot of softs. It doesn't really matter, but that was a lot of softs. Okay, so let's do our Topher. How ready are we? Um, incredibly bloody ready. We need nothing except you forgot the one thing that actually could make a difference in this dungeon. Chat, what did we do? What have we forgotten? And I don't think that's necessarily that you forgot to get it. I think you didn't know you can get it. Yep, yep. Life isn't important, but life at level 6 was Red Wizard learnable. And I know, I think this is probably more that you don't know your Red Wizard learnable slots than it is that you like, I don't want life. But the only thing I'd be picking up at this point, other than heal pots, is life. And I would have picked up heal pots in Crescent Lake because I would go get life there. So yeah, because I know when this ends, I don't think it costs you. But like, whew. Sorry, LRB. um, and the other thing I don't like about this is that your Red Wizard, there's an argument to be made for your Red Wizard in slot 2 when it has chain armor and everyone else has nothing. But like your Red Wizard here, um, if it was your life caster, should 100% be in slot 4. Because if it gets punched down by, hey Bert, what do you feel about the Twilight Party or the Twilight Fan Club? But for example, if you get ambushed by a bunch of waters, or a bunch of airs, or a bunch of vampires and whiz-vamps, um, having your Red Wizard in slot 2 here, if it was your life caster, is like crushing. So your life caster 100% should be in slot 4, and the thing I talked about, it should be fighter, black, black, red, almost certainly. Okay, so let's quickly talk about going into Topher. So the one thing that I've noted in the past, and this is like a nice strategy to use, is to hard reset before you go into Temple of Fiends Revisited. The reason is that if you wipe, you know what the encounter table is going through, and sometimes you want to dodge an encounter. If you don't wipe, whatever, it doesn't matter. But at least knowing where you are in the encounter table when you go into Topher is important. If you're going to burn a couple encounters to get like a longer run, that's fine too, but just make sure you know exactly where in the encounter table you went in. Okay. So my golden rule of Temple of Fiends Revisited is if you aren't high enough level before you walk in, or very, very, very close to it, you shouldn't be walking in. So yeah, don't take fights as much as you can, which you're doing. I mean, 4 Gasties with 4 Massas is pretty tempting, but you're running, so looks solid. Um, loot, cool. Topher routing is perfect so far. Yep, looks good. Are you really familiar with vanilla? Your routing's quite good in dungeons for the most part. Either that or you actually pull up maps. Okay, you play a lot of vanilla? Yeah, okay. Like a lot, a lot. Yeah, 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 yeah. Weirdo, who I was doing a VOD review of earlier, also played a lot of vanilla, and his routing was also good. I hadn't played Final Fantasy for like 20 years, so no, okay, not 20 years, like 12 years. So my routing was terrible, but I had maps open always until I memorized them. Okay, so hey, good job. Something I always heal before Lich. Reese disagrees, but I've been nuked before, especially on my Lifecaster, and um, always heal before Lich too, because you can get nuked. Yeah, disrespect Lich 1. I know you Oh, you don't disagree. Oh, okay. You just sometimes don't do it. I mean, that will happen most of the time, but I disrespect to disrespect. Okay, yeah, that's fair. I respect that. That is a life decision that you can make. Okay, this is ridiculous. We're too high. We're just like, yeah. But once again, like your time here, we're looking at like a minute 35 or something. Maybe not. No, you're gonna be faster than that. Like a minute 32. But with a little bit less levels, you could still get through here really, really quick, and that's how you're gonna win like the Duck Derby. Four swings. So once again, four swings is actually the correct decision here because A, your party is ridiculously over leveled, but also B, carry only has up to 900 HP, so your fighter's probably not going to get a second swing. Um, Now, Kraken and Tiamat have high absorb and sometimes high evade, so the fast on your knight is probably going to do more than your black mage is swinging because they're going to get absorb blocked for the most part, but it's probably still defensible. Oh, okay. You can walk along here for free steps and here, but that's pretty small. So, if you had life here, your red wizard almost certainly needs to go into the back row. Your knight is not your only win condition here, and because you don't have life, keeping up your black mages is kind of important. Um, so I don't entirely disagree with this, but like you don't really want to lose your knight here. If you're going to keep your knight there, being able to cast defense or something like that is going to be okay, but I think you just want to speed and power this. So I think what I would do here is probably move my knight into the second slot, move a black mage to slot 1 with no life. I'm okay to sacrifice one black mage here if I need to, and then go ahead. I'm confident enough in the rest of the Temple of Fiends Revisited that I don't need 4 characters up in order to do so. Um, I don't know. I don't know what other people do, but I think I would put one Black Mage sacrifice, Knight in slot 2, so that way he could maybe take one punch if needed, and then Red Wizard and my second Black Mage in slot 3 and 4 with no life. Of course, with life it's totally different. With life you just go sacrifice, sacrifice, Knight, Red Mage. But speed and power strats, okay, awesome, awesome. Bad turn order. Good first spell. Oh, also this is a brutal time. Okay, if you okay, let's talk ribbon too. You don't have life. Your ribbon needs to be on your knight here because your knight is by far the most important character on your team. Once again, there's the if I had life question, which is really really different. But yeah, like here, ribbon is like 100% on your knight. If you had life, of course, it's on your red wizard. But okay, Kraken or so Tiamat is more okay to keep your knight in slot 1, and I actually would probably do this exact same play. The reason is that Tiamat's physical damage is very unlikely to defense break your knight, so your knight's probably mostly safe. And you're planning on killing this Tiamat in probably 3 turns, so like 3 physical punches might not even kill your knight. And even if you puts it low, you can do some healing and stuff. So this order's okay, except for once again I would move my red mage down, but that's fine. Yep, good decisions. Yeah, so your knight, as kind of expected, is evasion blocked. Um, I'm okay with casting Invis 2 because that Invis 2 might make your Black Mages survive, and this is like a 3 turn fight, so it's actually going to make a difference. Um, uh, Swinging with your Masa, sure. It's really, really difficult here because the fact that your party's so over leveled makes that your decision making matter a lot less because you're, for the most part, like you're so safe just because of that. But like when things are more needle edge, those little decisions can make a big difference. So I'm trying to get into those habits early, and that's actually a problem with the duck seeds is that sometimes they don't punish you, and then therefore you don't learn as easily. Anyways, I punish you though. You can hear my voice in your head even when chaos doesn't kill you. But if you forget to move your ribbon, you can hear my voice in your head. Come on, please move your ribbon. Please move your ribbon. Please move your ribbon. Oh God. Okay, so obviously ribbon. Also, your win condition is your knight. Should be in slot 3. Chaos is unlikely to have the physical damage to kill your knight, but like your black mages literally need to get off fast and maybe temper, maybe lock. They need like three or four casts at most to be like fully useful. Your knight needs to keep swinging. So like knight in slot 3 here is definitely the same. Definitely the move. And also ribbon obviously cuz like if you get zapped here, let's say you get zapped. If these 3 party members die, you're frankly pretty screwed. But if you get zapped and your knight is the only person alive, and if it had a power bonk, let's say hypothetically, because that is hypothetical in this scenario, but like if your knight got zapped and everything one died except for your knight, and he hadn't gotten fast, tempered, locked, if he had power bonk and defense, this is 100% winnable. If he gets a fast off, even better, but like he doesn't actually even need a fast in order to kill this chaos. So 9 hits, it should be doing 10. You don't need to lock here. You can continue to temper. I might cast temper lock turn 2 just because power bonk can cast saber, but there's no lock replacements, but that's pretty minor. But like watching your hit counts is really the number, like watching your hit and damage on your test swing is important against higher clamp bosses. So something that you should get in the habit of doing. Hey, and GG's. Life Reboot with a good question. Does lock stack? Yes, lock does stack. More accurately, it continues to lower the fiend's evasion. So, yes, lock stacks, and so does temper, and so does saber. And saber and temper stack on top of each other. They're just increasing damage number. So, yes, and Septimus is entirely right. Temper is more powerful the more hits you get. That's why we cast lock before more tempers once you see you can get a few hits. Correct. Um, my general rule of thumb is if I'm 2 or more hits away from what I expect to be, I throw a lock in. So, um, unfasted. So, if I should be doing 5 hits and I'm getting 3, I cast lock. If I should be getting 10 hits and I get 6 or 7 after fasting, I cast lock. If I'm like 8 or 9, I still will sometimes cast lock, but oftentimes temper is fine there. It's all just about, it's a multiplier, right? Damage times hits, and you need to determine what side of the equation is more important to fiddle with. I don't do the like strict math, but I do it in my like intuitively. Yeah, yeah, throwing multiple locks out is totally fine too. Like there's nothing wrong with that, but they do stack. Awesome. So GG's, congratulations, Chanigan. Once again, like an hour 32 is by no means a bad time, especially for a duckling and someone who's I don't know, you've probably run like 10 seeds or something at this point. Um, so yeah, 3 hits, 3 damage. What do you do? That's actually a really good question. So I'm afraid of nuke at all times, which means I need to determine what is more important. And with 3 hits, 3 damage with this exact party comp, I would be casting lock because my knight would have power bonk. Now, if my knight didn't have power bonk, I would probably be casting temper because you need to break, absorb break chaos in order to like do better. But once again, power bonk is broken, so you just go locks and know that you can power bonk later, or maybe one lock, one temper, probably more accurately. Okay, so going back to this, um, your biggest mistakes in this seed were by far knowledge mistakes, and those are very difficult to solve quickly. But spell selection on elemental weaknesses was a concern. Red wizard learnable slots was a big concern. Um, So those are probably 2 things that you can definitely improve on, and those will just take time. But like starting to learn the basics, like not every, don't go and like memorize a weakness table. Start having the kind of general rules of thumb. The what are they called? Not pneumatics. The I forget the word, but the quick mental tricks. So undead, fire. If it swims, lightning. Those types of things are going to help a lot for elemental weaknesses. In terms of Red Wizard knowledge, there's no anything. Nothing can help you except for like level 1s through 4 have some patterns that you can remember. But for the most part, just like open up the sheet. I have this open to this day when I oh he probably Bert probably posted this literal link. But that link and um, I use this site all the time. So for example, Blue D's I had to look up earlier today. Oops, over here. Blue D's I had to look up earlier today because I couldn't remember what they were weak to. So like I use this site all the time because I'm a scrub at this game at times and don't have vanilla memorized. So I take a look at both of those. Yeah, so that's how you increase your knowledge slowly, but like get those general guidelines in your head, and that will help a lot. The other major thing outside of spells and elemental weaknesses was in-town routing. So making sure we're saving when we're leaving, um, reducing the need to double dip towns or triple dip towns, uh, getting your actual routing better. Those things are definitely areas of improvement. And then the final thing was definitely routing here. With no loose, you basically want the decision is not really a decision. Or sorry, let me rephrase that. With no loose, the decision should almost always start with what incentive locations can I clear? And then once you have the incentive locations you can I clear which ones can I clear? Okay, so maybe I can clear all three with my levels and gear. Okay. I can clear all three of these. Which ones should I clear? And that's when considerations like warp, exit, um, proximity come into play. And common things to consider are warp. With warp and exit, ice cave, really nice because you can always clear that and clear a volcano at the same time. Um, with Oxyale and Brack, for example, on-rat continent becomes a big deal. Ordeals is something that's on the slower side, but on the safer side. So if your levels are a little bit low, Ordeals can be nice, especially with warp. But like those three can often be some things that you might miss. Another thing that I'm almost certain you will miss at some point is Sarda. So don't forget Sarda when you get in the air. But yeah, balance, proximity routing, and incentive collection, and really try not to go places where you can't full clear them. So once again, that's Oxyale for the Onrat continent, and Rod for Earth Cave. And if in most cases with non-incentive Earth and no item magic, or non-incentive Earth and um, no loose, you can basically clear Earth last always and lose nothing more than like 30 seconds on overworld routing. So when in doubt, just clear Earth last. Um, yeah, that's kind of what I have. In general, this was pretty good. Like, once again, hour 32 is pretty fast. A lot of the things that I were giving was really minor, but a couple of these things are, I think places you can make big time saves. So, yeah, GG's. Thanks a lot, Life Reboot. Thanks for hanging out. And, yeah, I don't know if chat, I'll hang around for another, like, minute or something in case chat wants to add anything in. But this was really fun, and I always enjoy these. We're going to be doing another one of these probably sometime next week, and then I'll do another Duckling Weekly review on Saturday again, I think. So come check out FFR if you want to see these flags. These are pretty well-designed flags. You can check out the flags. If you want to join the Discord, you can go join the Discord. Yeah, so yeah, thanks for hanging out. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day Saturday, and I might go do a race now if anyone wants to do a race. I don't really. Yeah, this flag creator, man, what a